This isn't the cold open, but it is Darien, with some quick housekeeping before the episode starts. I just want to wish a big thank you to our brand new patron, Leonardo Garcia. He's joining us as a camp counselor patron, and we really appreciate his support. Thank you so much, Leo. Also, in this episode you're about to hear, one of our guests is going to introduce himself as being from Cabin 8, Athena. Yes, we know Athena is Cabin 6, Artemis is Cabin 8. That's on me. I accidentally told him the wrong cabin. Clearly, I was just thinking about myself. So yes, we know Athena is Cabin 6. Please don't add us. And now, on to the show.
To Casey's point earlier, if you turn that thing on, I will scream.
I'm not going to. I was just moving it because it was rubbing against my leg. I got a little wacky waving inflatable tube man for the desk toy.
And then you picked it up in the middle of the conversation, so of course I had some concerns. Okay.
Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore ancient myths and their modern retellings, creating Rick Riordan's, Percy Jackson, and the Olympians. This is Chapter 10, The Underworld. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darien and Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from Cabin 20, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? Cabin 20, for those of you who don't know, is Hecate. And I thought it was Hecate for the longest time until she smacked me up beside the head. So, you know, those classic parlor tricks like making your thumb disappear and card tricks. She's not a fan of those.
No, I don't think she would be. No, she'd literally make your thumb disappear.
Yeah, she's not the happiest camper when I do those.
DJ, welcome back. How'd your quest go?
It was pretty good. It was actually, it was dry, cold, and Russian. That's all I'll say on that one.
Cool. Well, I don't want to know anymore,
No.
which is fine because we have some guests to introduce.
Oh, wonderful. Who are they?
All right, so DJ, joining us today are two fabulous writers, both in work, professional, and in their personal time. We've got Lucy Hart and Casey Scott. Say hi, everybody. Not at the same time.
Hello.
Oh my God.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, guys, introduce yourself and tell us what cabin you're from.
Hi, I'm Lucy Hart, and I'm Cabin 3, Poseidon.
Right on.
And I'm Casey Scott. Cabin 8, Athena.
Woo.
Yay.
We got an Athena in here.
Nice. So Casey and Lucy are joining us today because they both have the illustrious privilege, or not privilege,
Right.
experience of having played Assassin's Creed and Hades.
Woo.
Two games that I have not played, but DJ, you
I've played both of them.
have. And what is similar about both of these games?
Greek.
Great. Well, yes.
That's I mean, kind of hack and slash for both of them, but not really. I don't know. There's not really many similarities between Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the open world RPG adventure game, and Hades, the isometric hack and slash roguelike game.
Okay, well, I can think of one very important similarity.
They have the Underworld.
They have the Underworld! It's the name of the episode! DJ, I usually ask you to tell me what you know about the Underworld, but we have guests, so...
We have guests. Let's ask them.
Let's ask them! Casey, Lucy, what do y'all know about the Underworld from Greek mythology?
Go ahead, Casey.
I'm gonna throw him on the spot.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's been a while since I've actually, studied the Underworld itself.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember? Just whatever.
Well, I mean, I remember it being not a hellscape, and Hades is not a villain, as he's often portrayed in popular culture.
Careful, Case, you're stepping on your girlfriend's turf here. We're doing Hades next week. Or 2 weeks for our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
But it's kind of always how I've felt about it, that Hades gets a bad rap. And
Oh, yeah. For sure.
it's been misconstrued over so many generations and just in pop culture in general.
Classic.
And so our perspective of what Hades is so far removed from what it once was.
Very academic. Lucy, what do you got for us?
Underworld is a place that has I know it's got the Okay, hold on, I got notes. The Underworld has got like the Tartarus, it's got the Asphodel, it's got the Elysium stuff. I know that's got the River Styx kind of going through it. There's so many quests that take place in the Underworld. Of course, you got your like main characters, quote main characters, like Hades, Persephone. I always say his name wrong. Charon.
Charon.
No, it's
Charon?
no, it's Karen.
Karen. It's not Chiron.
Charon.
Chiron.
Or it's like Charon.
Yeah. Charon, and then Cerberus, and like all the things.
All the big
where
names.
dead folks go.
Yes.
Yeah, no shoot. You guys
Sounds
don't
about
even,
right.
Y'all don't even need me. Lucy's got it.
Pretty much.
Awesome. So,
Pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Casey and Lucy, both more accurate than DJ usually is. Well done. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, I mean, you took notes. That's more than I've done in most of our episodes.
Facts. So I do have a little bit of notes. I've done a little bit of research. Do y'all want to hear about how the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, felt about the underworld and the afterlife?
Not particularly, but go ahead.
Do it.
I'm loving the support I'm getting from my co-host.
No problem.
So basically, the Greeks were not a fan of dying.
Who is?
I mean, you can really tell it by how they perceive the underworld in like 8th century BC. It was not a place where you'd have a lot of those details, those rivers and Tartarus and Elysium and even like Cerberus and stuff. Those didn't really exist because in like the early versions or the early stories where they talk about like what the underworld is, it's not really a place to be explored. It is a place to be feared and to be pitied, essentially. To quote Edith Hamilton's Mythology, "A shadowy place inhabited by shadows. Nothing is real there. Those existence, if it can be called that, is like a miserable dream." That just gets doubled down on in the Odyssey when Odysseus meets the spirit of Achilles, who they're friends. For the record, this is like meeting your friend who died in battle.
Because
like,
it is
very personal for Odysseus.
The Odyssey takes place after
the Trojan War.
The Trojan War. So he probably watched Achilles die.
Yeah, so it's we're going to talk about that kind of trauma later, I'm sure. But for our purposes in this episode, we'll just talk about how Achilles told Odysseus that he'd rather be a slave on Earth than king of the underworld, which Hades probably took a little personally.
I assume he did. Yeah. Like, let's be honest here. I think Hades likes his job. I think he's overworked, but I think he doesn't hate his job.
No, it's his job. I think he's just like, this is my job, this is what I do, I'm good at it. So all of those things we got about the underworld, like all those things, Lucy specifically, you mentioned the rivers, the places, Tartarus, everybody, those came from Roman poets, specifically Virgil. Like those really fleshed out details came from Romans. Mm-hmm. Another example of our ancient Greek mythology coming from Roman poets, specifically Virgil. He may be the patron god of the podcast at this point.
Yeah, right.
So one thing that we haven't talked about is the fact that in Greek mythology, when the underworld, when you die, you don't just appear in the underworld. You have to go to an entrance and get into the underworld.
Sometimes it's Thanatos guiding you there.
Sometimes, yeah. It was like not just like this intangible hell or heaven or whatever. It is a literal place like Mount Olympus. And you could go there if you knew where to look.
Yeah.
And some of the 3 most prominent entrances to the underworld from Greek mythology are usually found in caverns or just by like really, really deep lakes because there is an aesthetic and they're sticking to their branding. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So some of
it's just under the ground. That's all. Hell is under the ground.
Basically, yeah. Because some of the specific locations include caverns near Tanarus, a bottomless lake near Lerna, and another lake, this one volcanic, located in southern Italy near Naples, which that one's definitely a Roman one.
Yeah.
It was the bottomless Aliconian lake where Dionysus entered the underworld in search of his mother and where Hades brought Persephone down to the underworld for the first time. So the underworld is the best way to go about this. It's like got a lot of shit now.
Yeah, it's been going on. It's been growing and expanding, much like the labyrinth.
The terrain, there's a lot. There's 5 rivers. DJ, Casey, Lucy, can anybody tell me what those 5 rivers were?
Styx.
Okay.
Lychee.
Well,
Or no, Lithi?
yeah.
That's what it was. Those are the only 2 that I can remember off the top of my head.
I mean, I would be super impressed if Casey or Lucy, you knew any of the other rivers, because, like, I certainly don't.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Nope. That's
here,
fair.
we got
Nope.
Google.
I mean, they're in my notes. I have them
We
in my
got
notes. Like, what are you doing? Like, I have them in my notes right here. I can tell you, yes, Styx. It's the one where they make their unbreakable oaths. It's the one from Percy Jackson. Yeah, that one.
Karen.
Yeah, that's the one of sorrow and pain.
And then the Lythi, let's see.
Yep, Lethe, that's the river of oblivion and forgetfulness. If souls were going to go and become reincarnated, they would have to drink from the river to forget their past life.
Can this just show me the fucking rivers of...
I do have them.
Then just
Look-
say it.
Yes,
why am I doing this in the first place, Darien? Like, come on.
I don't-
You're asking me a question. I'm here to answer it with Google, and you already have the answers. Why are you asking me in the first place?
Because that's how we do the podcast. I can't believe we're doing this in front of our guests.
Yeah.
How do I pronounce that word?
Phlegathon.
Yep, so there was Phlegathon. Phlegathon?
Phlegathon.
Phlegathon.
That's the river of fire.
Yeah, it was the river of fire, which possibly led into Tartarus. And there was Cocytus, which is the river of lamentation,
Yeah.
which was the sad river. It was the very sad
Lamentation?
river. None of these are good rivers. I don't know. This is why nothing grows in the fucking underworld, because these rivers, you can't drink from them. They're not producing
I
any crops.
mean, if you take, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read Heroes of Olympus. In House of Hades, Percy and Annabeth drink from the river of Phlegathon.
Nope.
Yeah, they do.
Phlegathon?
Phlegathon.
That's
what
one
it
of
is.
fire. Wait, how did they do that?
They drink from it because it prevents Styx from killing them. Or not Styx, Tartarus from killing them.
That's right.
And if you drink from River Lethe,
Lethe.
you forget shit.
Yes. How did they drink out of a fire? What if these is fire?
They just cup their fucking hands and sip it. It's the underworld, Darien. Why are you asking questions as to how?
Let's talk about what Tartarus is for. Speaking of. Casey, do you want to tell us about Tartarus? You can say no.
I
it's
don't
okay.
remember anything about Tartarus.
That's fine. Lucy, do you want to tell us about Tartarus?
That's where before Zeus came around and
Mhm.
like killed what's his face, Kronos. Kronos had all like the Titans or somebody trapped in there. I don't necessarily know if they were Titans, but he had somebody in there. And then when Zeus came over, he like chopped
Mhm.
Kronos up and threw him in there, and with a bunch of other people.
I mean,
I
basically,
think?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Just through all the Titans,
Exactly.
pretty much, except
Yeah.
for
Zeus imprisoned the
Atlas
Titans.
and a couple of others. I
The
think.
one who got like special punishments. And then Kronos imprisoned the giants and the 100-handed ones.
The giants were made after, as far as I was
That's
aware,
right.
after Zeus dethroned Kronos.
Okay, well, someone was in Tartarus.
Uranus.
Yeah, I think it was the giants and the Cyclops and the 100 RM.
Well, I'm just
that
saying,
were in
man, like, again, according to Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus,
The text
No,
we were built this whole
yeah,
podcast off
the
of.
text that we were going off of, after Zeus had dethroned Kronos, Gaia got mad,
Mhm.
had a bunch of babies
Mhm.
with Tartarus,
Mm.
which, weird, and those were
Weird.
the giants.
Okay.
And so the giants came after Kronos and the Titans.
You know the premise of our podcast is that there are different retellings of
Yes.
stories, right?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm just saying that's what I know.
So to Casey's earlier point in discussing how our modern perception of the underworld is usually very, very twisted, a lot darker, a lot more heinous than the underworld was actually perceived at the time of like these stories and stuff. I would say that the bad version of the underworld is probably what they're thinking of as Tartarus. Like that definitely sucked.
Oh yeah, Tartarus is not the funnest.
No, don't want to go to Tartarus. Other highlights of the underworld where normal human souls were actually likely to go would be the Fields of Mourning, which is just okay.
A field.
Everyone's bummed out here. The Asphodel Meadows, which is just okay. Everyone's also just kind of here. But if you were like cool,
And
like really cool, like really cool, though, you gotta go to Elysium.
And Elysium is great.
It's like Disneyland great.
It's a fucking party all the time.
But if you were like really, really cool and you like got reincarnated and then got into Elysium like 3 times, you could go to the Isle of the Blessed, which is like Club 23 cool.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And that's basically the Greek underworld, which is a lot more fun when Romans are talking about it. Because that's when you actually have the appeal of, well, if you lead a good life, you don't have to fear death because you could go to the Isle of the Blessed, so you better go, I don't know, kill a sphinx or something? What's there left to do? Everybody's already done it.
Yeah, pretty much. There's not really many monsters left. We got too many fucking heroes coming in town.
There's too many heroes. Good luck. DJ, how do you get to the underworld?
You die.
Okay, so
And
you
Thanos
die.
comes and
So
is like,
you
"Hey,
went.
what's good?"
You went to go fight the Sphinx, and you didn't. You decided to be sarcastic to its riddle, and it ate you.
Yeah, probably.
So now you're dead.
Yeah, and then Thanos was kind of just vibing there. It's like, "Hey, what's good? I'll take you there, at least to the entrance. I
Okay.
gotta go. I got a busy schedule."
Okay. No,
He takes me to the entrance, and I'm like, "Wait, hold on. I don't have any drachma for the ferryman. Guess you're waiting 100 years, fucker." And then I wait 100 years.
So that's okay. So that's the end of DJ. He forgot to pack supplies. So now I guess we're gonna play.
I got ate by the Sphinx, and nobody put coins on my eyes. I'm not gonna have any coins for the ferryman. All right.
You don't have eyes. The Sphinx ate it.
Pretty much.
They could have also put it under your tongue.
The Sphinx ate me. I don't got a body anymore.
So Davis is hanging out on the shores for 100 years. Does anybody else want to try to get into the underworld?
I mean, I don't know if anyone, and like, I guess if we're thinking modern age, like, there would be there would be crowds
waiting on the shore,
waiting to go across, because I don't know if anyone gives drachmas to anyone.
You know that
when they die,
the ferryman is going to take whatever currency you show up with. So, like, make sure someone buries me with a couple, like, Sacagawea silver, like, gold coins, okay? He'll take what you get. Leave me with a credit card. He's not going to be picky.
Do you take debit?
Do you take Apple Pay?
Hey man, I forgot my cards at home, but do you use Samsung Pay?
Can I Venmo you? Okay.
I'll sell you my soul.
Yeah.
That's it. All
So
you need
Lucy
is
shows
your phone.
up. Lucy, I'm assuming you had somebody guide you to the entrance.
Yeah. Thanos, probably.
Okay. So you show up and you offer to pay
My phone,
ferryman.
a Venmo.
Yeah, with the Venmo because you can't use Google Pay.
Yep.
So then, okay, so you get across the river. Lucy, do you know what happens next?
I think I have to walk by Cerberus at that point.
You do. You go.
Or is that earlier?
Nope. This is exactly it. Then you go through the gates. You get to Cerberus, and nothing happens because you are dead and supposed to be. Lucy, how did you die? Did we talk about how Davis got eaten by a sphinx? Lucy, how did you die?
Anxiety. I had a heart attack.
Oh no! Did you think about trying to fight the sphinx and then have an anxiety attack, or is it just general stress about the world?
I found the one remaining dragon alive and tried to ride it, and then it ate me.
Oh, so you were also 8, but it's okay because you had your phone and the dragon ate the
I had my
so
phone in my back pocket.
We're not allowed to have phones.
I never said that. That was you. Okay,
Chiron
so yes,
said that, alright? Man, he took my phone upon arrival.
That seems like a phone. Because it wasn't made of celestial bronze.
Pretty much.
Alright, so yes, Lucy, so then you just go right by Cerberus because the three-headed dog is only there to make sure the dead get in and they stay in. He's not gonna mess around with anybody unless they try to get out or they try to sneak in and shouldn't be there. Like fucking Hercules or Orpheus.
Yep.
But these
Naughty
aren't their
ghosts
episodes, we're not
get
gonna talk
eaten
about
by
them.
the big 3 dog.
What?
Naughty ghosts get eaten by the big 3 dog.
Okay, yeah, but if you like use escape, which here's a fun side tangent. Let's talk about like Cerberus, the 3-headed dog. In some myths, he had 50 heads, and in other myths, he had 100.
Oh man!
And in art, he usually had 3 because you only have so much time to carve a statue.
Yeah.
He also had like snakes or something.
Yeah, he had a snake tail. Yep.
That one is featured in Smite.
Yeah.
Snake
tail. There's our Smite point for the day.
It will come up later when we start talking about further stuff.
I'm sure it will. So Cerberus was actually a child of Echidna, the mother of monsters, who was going to have an episode, and then we decided there wasn't enough to talk about, so that got cut.
Because Echidna like barely shows up in the book, so why even bother?
Fair. But here's what I didn't know: Cerberus also had siblings.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like Mother of Monsters, pretty much all monsters from her are siblings of Cerberus.
Some of his siblings included the Hydra.
Right
and
on.
the Chimera, because multi-headed thing.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And other authors would say it was the Nemelion.
The Nemean lion.
The Nemean lion. Thank you, DJ. The Nemean lion and the Sphinx who ate DJ.
Yep. That was What a bitch.
What a bitch. All right, Lucy. So you get past Cerberus. No big deal. What happens
Yes,
next?
I do. 100%. I think that's as far as my knowledge goes. I think as far as I would know, I would go from Cerberus and just to one of the places of the underworld.
All right, there's one thing you missed. Casey, it's your turn to play. How did you die?
This should be good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want how I actually died?
Davis got eaten by a sphinx, and Lucy fell off a dragon's back. So I think you can have some creative liberties, writer boy.
Well, there was this one time that I accidentally went back in time.
Of course.
I don't know how it happened.
Mm-mm.
Total, just walking along, and then suddenly you're in a different time period.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
But I don't. I was sent back, several million years. I don't have any survival skills that go beyond the very basics. So, I mean, I just pretty much die of exposure.
That one's not as fun, Case.
It's
Except for the
not.
time travel element.
Exposure.
We will circle
I
back.
mean, like, me too. I would just fucking, if I was thrown several million years into the past, I'd be like, well, guess that's the end of Davis. I just fucking died.
I mean, yeah. All right, so Casey died before there was
Thanatos is just looking at you like, dude, how'd you end up here?
Actually, I think Casey died before there was a Greek underworld at that timeline.
Yes.
So he's just like in this Neolithic, Thontic, like.
I'm sure there was some sort of religion.
I mean, yeah, but like, this isn't the podcast where we're going to talk about it.
It's later.
No. So Casey waits around for a couple million years, and then the Greeks come along, and they create a shitty underworld, and the Romans come along, and they add a little depth to it. So Casey, you get to an entrance of the underworld. Do you have anything to pay the ferryman?
No.
Why? Why don't you have anything to pay the ferryman? Why?
Because he got blasted back in time.
Yeah, I'm out of luck. There was no money where I was.
No. Casey said he was walking on the street, and I know Casey Scott, and he doesn't just leave his wallet anywhere. So you clearly would have had your wallet when you were sent back in time.
I think if the underworld first showed up and he was first in line, right? Karen wasn't fucking taking Venmo or debit cards or U.S. Mint.
I found a couple really cool, perfectly round river rocks.
But like
before he died,
and they're really cool rocks.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're like
really cool.
quartzite.
I think.
Okay, maybe.
I think Karen would take that. Yeah. Okay. So Casey gets across the river with his really cool rocks, and you get to Cerberus, who lets you pass because they're alive. All right, Case.
They're dead.
Because you're dead. Oh shit! Yeah, because you're dead.
Cerberus wouldn't let you pass if you were alive. He'd make you dead, and then you could pass.
No, you'd have to either like sing real good, or like feed him honey cakes,
or have a ball.
A
red ball.
A little red ball. All right. Okay, Casey. After you get past Cerberus, do you know what happens next?
Nope.
Okay, so
I don't remember.
Casey has just meandered off. So nobody actually gets into the underworld. I think you're just stuck in a queue line forever.
Or just like, does it follow the Hades narrative where we just like talk to Hades and then get assigned to our level of hell?
Okay, so you don't talk to Hades. He's too busy for you.
Or is it?
You go to the judges. So the last thing of the underworld is that you are put in front of the judges, who
they weigh your heart with a feather.
No, that's
a scale.
That's the better version of it, which is the one I like best. Hence the Ankh I wear all the time. In this version of the underworld, there are 3 judges. There are 3 kings who will judge you, and they'll decide where you go. And most folks just end up going to like.
Do you think the kings are like elected democratically, or do they have like sons that they pass down their rule to?
Okay, well, one of them is fucking Minos, who we have a hard stance on this podcast as he sucks. So
he's bros with Hades. Is that what I'm hearing here? The kings were like put there. It's pretty much like a fucking communistic Russia, where like all the close people all the people close to Stalin were like, hey, you get extra money and you get to live well, and everybody else is in poverty. Is that what we're doing here?
I don't know what we're doing here anymore.
Is that the three kings? Is that the narrative behind the three? They're all close to Hades, and Hades is like, here, you guys are going to judge the souls that come through, and they're all super biased.
Probably. So most people get sent to the fields of Asphodel, and they just stand around for all eternity. That's the end of this story.
Yep.
And that sucks. So let's talk about, even though it sucks, why we've decided that we're going to retell Underworld stories often, but more specifically, why we retell them in a format in which we physically, as a living person, have to experience what it's like to go through the Underworld. That's right, it's finally the video games episode.
Woo!
DJ, you want to talk about Smite for a hot second?
Smite, Underworld's not very much featured in Smite. I think the closest thing we get to it is every now and again. There's like one event that we had for arena mode where the arena itself was in the Underworld, and then there was one like a special event where part of the map would just start falling down. You could push people into it and get a kill.
Holy shit.
It was a lot of fun. But obviously we got like Cerberus and Hades, and Persephone actually was added in the game not too long ago.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago or something like that. She's pretty fucking sick. She plants like seeds, and then like she can use it to either heal herself, explode the enemy, or have a little minion chase after them.
Nice.
Depending on how long the seed has been there.
Mm-hmm.
The Underworld in Smite's not very much featured. Hades is pretty cool, but we'll talk about him next time.
Mm-hmm.
Cerberus, he's a guardian, obviously. Mm-hmm. And as I said, he's got the snake tail. He's all right. I'm not the biggest fan of guardians just in general, so I don't play them all too often. Okay. So that's about it. That's all I got about the Underworld for Smite.
Cool. So let's talk about what Lucy and Casey have actually been asked to come on the podcast and talk about. Let's do it in alphabetical order. So, Casey, will you tell us? I know that it's an Assassin's Creed game, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of shit going on. So let's specifically, if you don't mind, can you narrow it down and just tell us what is up with the Underworld in Assassin's Creed?
It's gorgeous. Fuck, the Fields of Elysium was sick as fuck in that game.
Okay, it's Casey's time.
Yeah, so you have the main game, which is obviously set in ancient Greece, and then you have the three downloadable content chapters. One set in Elysium, one set in Hades, and one set in Atlantis. All three of them are basically simulations within simulations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not. It's not actual, like, however you want to call it, actual Hades. It's a recreation by the ancient beings that used to live on Earth in the Assassin's Creed mythos.
Talking aliens?
No.
Okay. I withdraw the question.
What are they called again?
What are they called?
I had it the other day. I don't fucking remember at all.
We can look it up.
Yeah. Let's see here.
This is not relevant to the episode. We can look it up.
Isu.
Isu. That's what. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're called the Isu.
Like the gods are Isu.
Yeah. So they're like, an advanced, highly advanced version of human that existed thousands, millions of years ago. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole mythology that Assassin's Creed is laid out is pretty inconsistent.
It's one of the main reasons people don't like Assassin's Creed nowadays, even though it's really good gameplay.
Huh.
Yeah, a lot of the modern day real world stuff, and then the whole ancient human mythology storyline just kind of get in the way of things. It can be really distracting, especially when you're in the middle of playing and then it's like it pulls you out of the whatever ancient world you're in to tell this side story, and you're just like, gotta get through this to get to the next part.
It's like, hey, your doctor's worried about your health.
What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I wasn't a fan of that. And a lot of people also don't like the newer Assassin's Creed games because now it's not really about the Assassin's Creed. It's about the Isu and their whole shtick. And people don't like that, even though the game and storytelling is fucking stellar.
So what's the Underworld like?
So the Underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the first chapter, you're in Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, you're just doing things there. Persephone's there.
Oh, cool.
It's really nice. I mean, they nailed the idea of this sort of idyllic
society.
Yeah, it's very nice to look at. And then you get thrown into Hades, and the
boy.
very first thing you do is kill Cerberus.
Why?
No.
Cerberus is attacking you. That's why. Actually, no. I mean, you kill the Sphinx, you kill Medusa, you kill the Minotaur, you kill. What's the fourth one? Cyclops.
You kill a lot of you kill a
anything
Sphinx,
and
you kill a
everything.
Minotaur, you kill various Cyclops.
You kill the
3.
Yeah, there's like 3 Cyclops. You kill you kill the Nemean lion, the something boar. You kill fucking anything and everything.
Okay, but
because you're a
Cerberus is a
mercenary.
good boy. He's just doing his job.
Yeah,
He is. No,
and
yeah,
so
he's
is,
like
the Nemean lion.
you're going there. I mean, you're alive, basically, trying to get into the underworld, and Cerberus, he's doing his job, and you have to kill him.
There's not like a sneak around option?
Enter.
No, of course not.
There are literally 3 different ways to fucking beat Cerberus without killing him. Okay, you can literally just subdue him and then tie him up and then drag him out of there, a la Hercules. You can bust out some sweet, sweet jams, a la Orpheus, or you can feed him a goddamn honey cake, a la fucking, what was her name? The last chick.
Or you can kill him, a la Alexios or Cassandra, depending on who you chose to play as.
I don't think I like Assassin's Creed. Casey, go on.
So yeah, you kill.
It's called Assassin's Creed for a reason, Darien.
Cerberus.
It's not called subdue your enemy.
Did you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Tie up your enemy for a reason.
I didn't know you snuck up on Cerberus when he didn't know you were coming, and then just like did the little like sleeve knife thing.
Sleeve knife's actually right around it.
Okay, exactly.
Fucking
Oh, it's
sucks.
called Assassin's Creed. Yeah, you didn't
fucking-
assassinate
I know,
the
right?
dog. So go on, Casey.
No, you fight him head on and just like stab him in the head.
Is there any assassinating
with your
in this
sword.
game? I don't care.
There is, yeah.
I'm not playing this game. Go on.
There's assassinating. It's just not about the creed.
So yeah,
So you can check. Kill
Cerberus is dead, and
everything's
Hades
amok.
is not obviously
Happy about
thrilled
I couldn't
with
imagine.
this.
What? You killed his dog.
it. You killed one of his many dogs.
Oh.
He killed his good boy.
Okay. Well, how does Hades not just fucking kill you on the spot?
'Cause you
What?
I don't know. I haven't played it yet.
Well, you're not real. It's not like a real thing, so it's
Yeah,
a simulation. So
simulation.
even though as a simulation, you think it could just put you on the other side of Cerberus and just let you go in,
Yeah. This
But
is
whatever.
unnecessary.
but you are confronted by Hades,
Mhm.
and he sends you on a quest,
What?
like one of the many quests
Quest.
Hades never gives quests.
in the underworld. Well, he wants you to basically replace Cerberus.
Okay.
And so he sends you off to basically go find and convince 4 heroes to guard the entrances of the underworld.
Okay.
So you have to go find Perseus and Theseus and Achilles
Mhm, mhm.
and Hercules.
That's pretty
Okay.
sick.
All right, it's a pretty solid lineup. Does it work?
Well, the deal that Hades basically makes with you is that he'll let you leave the underworld if you do this for him.
Okay.
Okay. Even though you can pull yourself out of the simulation at like any time.
I don't know. It just the whole thing doesn't quite make any sense in terms of the it being a simulation, but
But does your character know it's a simulation?
Yes.
Like you, the player. No. But like not
Yes.
just the character who is in the Assassin's Creed simulation, but the actual, because they were living
Yeah,
like.
Cassandra knows it's Alexios. Who did you play as?
Cassandra.
Cassandra does know that it's a simulation. When you pull up to like, hey, I'm gonna do this, you get a whole rundown from like this fucking AI that's like explaining it to you. The AI of Atlantis. It's like, all of it's a simulation, but you got to go through and do these trials if you want to unlock the full power of this staff of Asclepius.
That's stupid. Your character's from ancient Greece, right? They believe in these things. It should be real to them, even if you, the player, know it's not. Your character should perceive it as this is real.
I mean, throughout the whole thing, you can choose like dialogue options where you're like, yeah, the gods aren't real.
Okay. Well, I guess that is interesting. I never saw Casey do that, so.
I did that. I did those dialogue options because I'm like, because people are like, oh, praise the gods, they sent me help. I'm like, no, I'm the one who fucking helped you. That was me, fucker.
You'd make a great demigod.
It's not fucking Zeus. Yeah, he probably blessed me with this hawk that I have flying around, but it's not him. That's me, fucker.
Alright, so you have to run around doing quests for Hades, meeting people who are dead but not real. Where do you go? You said you was Elysium. You go to Tartarus, right?
Tartarus is there.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily. You don't really go to it in the sense of you would think. Like you can see it. It's like it is a location on the map, but it's not really like a place you can visit in terms of like anything more elaborate than
it's like Elsa's castle in fucking Kingdom Hearts 3.
All right.
the rest of the underworld. It's kind of just there.
Mm-hmm.
A point on the map, basically.
Is it like Sparta for the whole of Greece versus, oh, hey, I'm in Elysium and the whole map is Elysium?
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically it's acknowledged that it exists and you can go there as a point on the map, but it's
not its own
pretty
thing.
much it.
So, Casey, in your opinion, as someone who has played these games or played this game, how well do you think they did the Underworld, basically, on a scale of 1 to 3-headed dog?
1 to 3-headed dog.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 1 dead 3-headed dog.
No, it's the one.
Well, not quite bad, but I mean, I will say up front, I did have a lot of fun with the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I also felt that a lot of it was pretty dull compared to what it could have been. But part of it stems from just the gameplay mechanics within these Assassin's Creed games. And then part of it is that it is an abbreviated version of the Underworld. Like everything within like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is obviously abbreviated because they only have so much space to work with. But in playing it, it just there's just so much missing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's there is okay, but you do notice that things are missing, and then the things that are there due to the gameplay style of the game and the way that they've just kind of chosen to structure the game itself is just kind of dull.
What do you mean by things that are missing?
Well, because it's the underworld you go to is just pretty small. I mean, and it's understandably small because I mean it's part of their DLC, and obviously there's only so much work you can put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot missing. Like there aren't 5 rivers in this underworld.
Is there one river?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just one.
Elysium.
There's a lot of characters missing, and plus when you meet various Greek heroes, like you meet Perseus and Achilles and Theseus and Hercules, they're just kind of there. They don't have distinct personalities. They don't have each battle with these heroes. They're slightly different, but in the grand scheme of things, not really.
Mm-hmm.
You fight them. They have a few lines of dialogue, and you move on.
Yeah, that sounds about par for the course of a DLC of an Assassin's Creed game.
and I mean that really kind of describes most of the DLCs. You go to where you're supposed to go, you do the thing real quick, and then you're on to the next thing. There's not really a lot of time to really enmesh yourself with these characters or this world. You're just kind of rushing from one point to the next point, doing various tasks for various people, whether it's Hades or Karen or various other people that you meet within the underworld.
So basically, do you think it would have been like a better game overall if it, rather than just being a DLC, this was its own full game?
Probably. Like, I think if they did what they did with some of the earlier Assassin's Creed games, like Assassin's Creed 2, basically was a trilogy. So you had Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and then Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Mhm.
And so they were each pretty full games. And I think they could have played with the Underworld. You could probably do, Elysium and Hades in one game, and then give Atlantis its own game, make that part 3 of the trilogy or whatever, and really flesh out these individual worlds and then the characters within the worlds. Because outside of very few select characters, there's just not a lot going on. I think the most fleshed out characters would be, Persephone in Elysium, Hades in Hades, and Poseidon in Atlantis. But other than that, I mean, you have some other characters that get a little bit more too, but in the whole game itself, it's just, it's very, you blink and they're gone kind of a thing.
So basically, what we want is a whole game set in the... Cool. Well, that just is great, because now we're going to talk about Hades.
Woo! Well, I would like to add, I haven't gotten around to playing this one yet, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey did stem a whole new game that they were really excited to make, rather than just like, hey, we're making another Assassin's Creed game, right? And it's called Phoenix Immortals Rising.
Okay.
And it sounds fucking awesome because it's like, the way they said it, they first announced it, they announced it as like Gods and Monsters or something like that. Okay. It's like, yeah, we were making Odyssey, and there was a lot of stuff that we really wanted to play with, but because we kind of had to make it a little more historically accurate, we really couldn't. And so that's when like they just kind of took all of this. I think like Ares and Zeus narrate the game. So like they just have voiceovers, and I'm very excited to play it. I haven't gotten around to doing it yet, but I want to do it so bad. And I will be talking about it later when I do play it.
Awesome. Let's talk how you just bombarded my great segue.
Yeah, you're right.
Also, since we're already in side note tangent town, I super forgot to mention that the Greeks also called the underworld their afterlife, Hades. As in, Hades who runs the joint. So that's important. I should have mentioned that from the top. Okay, hey Lucy, let's talk about Hades.
Woo, Hades!
Yay, Hades. It's a very good game.
I know, I've heard it's a very good game.
It is fucking stellar.
Yes. I have yet to beat it, though. I have gotten very, very so close, but I have yet. Hades just kicks my ass.
I know. Hades is fucking hard, dude. Hades is a hard boss fight until you start using the shield on him.
Yeah, the shield?
Yeah.
The shield and the sword are my favorite, but I think the shield is good, especially when you pair it with Poseidon, then you can like push him away from you. Yes, please.
I paired the shields. I don't know. I don't think I paired the shield with really anything specific. I like the bow a lot.
I don't.
Especially with Dionysus.
All right. We have to start from the top.
From the top!
We're all assuming that anybody knows how to play Hades. I don't know this game. I don't know how to play the game. I just know fan art.
Yep.
And it's lovely. And I know that it's well done. And I know that it's really fun. And I know that like there's people can play and never repeat dialogue. And that's rad as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But what is this? Lucy, will you please just explain to us and to the listeners who maybe haven't played this game, what is Hades? What are you doing?
Okay, yeah. So basically the game Hades is it revolves around this main character, Zagreus, who is the son of Hades, and you don't really know at first, but you kind of, because like his whole goal is to try to find his mother, and to do that he needs to leave the underworld, but his dad Hades is not going to make that easy for him. In fact, like
Tracks.
This whole time he's like almost not necessarily like tearing Zagreus down, but he's not making his life easy. And like every time Zagreus sees Hades, he's like, oh hey, you're back, like good luck, you should just stop, like don't do it, like you'll regret it, and like all this stuff.
Okay.
Very not much a supporting father.
But Zagreus is like, yeah, no, I'm out of here. And so like the whole game is him trying to escape the underworld in order to see his mother for the first time in his whole life. because he had,
Aw, baby.
for like most of his life up until like, I guess like recently, he thought his mom was Nyx, but turns out,
Oh.
nope,
Yeah.
not your mom. So that's basically the game.
Okay.
Not your mom. Gotta go find her.
Awesome. And so, in terms of what? Okay, obviously it's clearly set in the underworld because he's trying to
Yes.
get out. But what? So, what does that underworld look like? Can you explore
Fucking
it? Is it,
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
how does this game
actually
work?
it's actually very very pretty, and I like every different section that it has. And
Yeah.
I keep thinking, oh, it's the labyrinth, but it's not, just because that's how it kind of feels. Because it basically starts off, there's like 5 zones or like levels of Hades. The first one is Hades' house, which is where you start off, and that's because like you're trying to run away from home, so you're at home in Hades' house.
Yeah, you gotta start from home to run away from.
It's hilarious because you jump out a fucking window. You don't go out the front door. You jump out a fucking window, and then you're like, all right, now I'm running away from home.
Like your
I already like this
little
boy. Go
balcony.
on.
So he jumps out, and you end up in Tartarus. That's like the very, very first place you end up in. You're in Tartarus, and then you have to go through these different rooms to escape. And then so from Tartarus you go to Asphodel, and then from Asphodel you go to Elysium, and then from Elysium you go to the Temple of Styx, which is that's more or less like the labyrinth, because you don't really know what rooms you're going to get in, and they're really difficult, just because like the monsters in there, it's like the last zone, so like they're gonna be the worst, and they poison you, and it's just the worst. But
yeah, fuck the rats and satyrs. They're the worst.
The rats
I
are
fucking
awful.
hate dealing with them.
The rats are terrible.
The rats and satyrs are the fucking worst.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, they're the monsters of the last one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Lucy,
Yeah.
how do you? I guess like in terms of like underworld stuff, like how well do you think this game did at like creating an experience of being in the underworld?
I think it did a really good job overall, because like you get to meet some like serious characters. Like you meet some of the very, very first characters you meet is of course like Hades, but you meet Hypnos, you meet Thanatos, you meet Achilles, who is kind of like Zagreus's mentor. He's like, Zagreus can fight with like all these different weapons, and he can do that because Achilles taught him.
Oh, that's cool.
Nyx, and she's like the supportive mother, and she's like I have your back, like just 100% there for him, like I'm there for you, like I'm helping you.
It's like, and there's a mirror in your room that you can use to upgrade yourself and like make shit easier for you.
Yeah, and like she gives you, like, you find darkness, and that's basically like her, and so you help you. It's kind of like you get this, and then you upgrade your stuff like through her help. And she is the one that got you in touch with the Olympians, who are helping you escape as you go through each level.
And you collect.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, and you also meet Dusa, Medusa. She just goes by Dusa in this, and she's just a floating head.
We love.
I love her so much.
Love her on
I'm
this
like,
podcast. We stand.
I have her like relationship really high with Zagreus.
Yeah.
They've gotten drinks together so far. I haven't gotten really much farther than that. But like, every time I have a gift, I'm like, can I give it to Dusa?
I do that too.
I want to see that shit so bad.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's what's really cool. What I and like kind of Darien, you mentioned this earlier, where the dialogue is different, and that's true. Like you can have a conversation with the same person, and it's not repeated.
Never fucking repeats.
Yeah, and also like you can talk to someone about a topic one time, and then go through, and I can explain this this aspect a little later on, but you'll go through the, you know, Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysium, whatever, die, come back, and you can bring up the same topic, but like talk about it differently. Like, oh, I know the last time we talked, sorry if I kind of upset you, or just something like this. It's really kind of cool.
Shit, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's also like as you continuously die and come back, they'll actually be like, man, you got really far this time, man. I really hope you do. Like, it's good to see you, but I know you're trying to leave, so I'm sorry to see you. Sorry. Usually when Deuce is kind of like says something along those lines, gets flustered and then like floats away. It's very funny.
Oh, that's cute.
I love Hypnos a lot. He, like, whenever you show up, sometimes he'll be like, hey man, I saw that you died too. And then he like hit like the Hydra or whatever Fury you fought, or just like, yeah, those fucking satyrs will get you, you know?
Yeah.
But if you die to Hades, it's a redacted black bar.
Yeah.
Like, man, I like the first time he's just like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, he's
There's
like, what does this
there.
mean redacted? Yeah, it's really funny. He's like, I have no idea what this means. And you're like, Hypnos is like, he kind of makes me want to punch him in the face sometimes. You walk out, he's like, hey, have you tried dodging? It's like, Hypnos? I will come at
Right?
you.
Yeah.
I just killed a Fury, a Hydra, and then freaking what's his face? Theseus killed me. I am not in the mood.
Yeah. Theseus and the Minotaur fight together in Elysium.
We talked about this. Yeah,
That one's really cool.
Like
I fucking love that fight.
I hate that fight.
Sucks, but it's cool as fuck.
Yeah, it's really cool. I just hate it. I have to get rid of the Minotaur first because like he's like the powerhouse.
He's easy.
And you gotta
he's
kick him.
so fucking easy to kill.
Yeah, it's like you gotta get him out quick, and then you can do the dude who's fucking throwing a spear at you. But
yeah, Theseus sucks. I hate dealing with him.
Yeah.
Fighting the Minotaur is fun.
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like as I was saying, with just like all these characters that you meet, you get to meet Theseus, and you get to meet the Minotaur, and then you also meet the 3 Furies. I can't remember all their names. It's like Megara, and then the 2 others. They represent
Alecto and
the murder.
Fuck, what's the third one? Murder. She only fucking screams murder, and I hate it. She's a bitch. She's like my least favorite one.
Yeah.
I hate dealing with her.
We literally did an episode on the fairies. I think
I
we
know,
do
right?
have to know what their names are. It's Alecto, Megara,
Is it Tisiphone?
and Tisiphone.
Tisiphone.
Davis,
Yep.
nicely done.
That's what I thought. I'm like, I don't like that. Doesn't sound right, but it is apparently.
Yep.
But yeah, she fucking wants to just be like, oh, and then you can make the game fucking harder after you beat it the first time, and it's like you get obviously more prizes.
Yeah.
By doing that, but if you make it harder, you fight all 3 at once.
No.
I don't want to do that.
No.
It sucks.
I'm not going to do that. Okay, I have a very, very important question.
Yeah.
Can you really romance Thanatos, or is that just fan art?
As far as I'm aware, you can. His dialogue options feel like he's got a thing for Zagreus.
I feel like
Nice.
if you want to go that route, I feel like everyone has a thing for at least Zagreus. Like,
Yeah, right? No, everyone's got a thing for Zagreus. Like, that's what it definitely feels like.
Yeah.
At least like the people who are like young. I don't think Achilles got a thing for Zagreus, honestly.
No,
Yeah,
Achilles
yeah.
is married.
Yeah, Achilles or like Nyx or anything like that. But I think like Thanatos, Dusa, and Alecto all have like a minor like at start a minor except for Dusa. Dusa's fucking crushing hard.
Oh,
on
it's so
Zagreus.
cute though.
It's adorable. And Alecto couldn't fucking give a shit about you.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to escape and it's my job to stop you. Like
And
that's
I'm
that's
not
our
invested.
relationship here up until you start giving her gifts.
Well,
It's
I
like,
think,
oh, shit,
are
I
you
can't
saying?
be bought with presents. I get that.
Because I know the relationship between Zagreus and Megara is...
Megara, not
yeah,
Alecto.
yeah. Because,
Yeah.
like, that's really tense, but, like, she's the only one that you really connect to, and that's a lot of fan art. But, yeah, with the whole, like, I think with the whole, like, Zagreus-Thanos fan, shipping is just that
Mhm.
Thanos is, like, one of the only people who actually appears to help you. Like, he will show up in certain
Mhm.
levels to help, like, kill the bad guys, and he's, like, fucking
Yeah.
vamp. Like, he
And
is
if you
just...
don't kill him, he gives you something.
He just
You give him- but he
annihilates
fucking
everyone.
insta-kills things and it sucks.
I mean, he's literally god of death.
I
So.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's very good. But then like he's like, please don't tell it. He's like, I'm putting my neck on the line to help you. Please don't tell anyone about
Yeah.
this.
If he shows up in Elysium, I don't even try to like outfight him.
Him
I'm like, he's gonna win no matter what, because a lot of the enemies in Elysium can like,
just suck.
even if you kill them, they turn into this little ball,
Those
of
little
shadow,
ball things.
and they can come
I hate
back.
it.
Mm,
They're
And, like then they like
no.
reform back into their
Maybe I don't
fucking
wanna play
standard
this game.
stuff. No, it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah. It's a very good game.
But yeah, if he shows up in Elysium, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I can't fucking kill these things faster than he can use his insta kill move.
Yep.
Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like whenever he shows up and it's those like pink butterfly things, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Fuck those enemies.
Oh, no.
Those suck. Those suck so much.
Oh, those things suck.
So, DJ, you've actually played both of these games.
Yes.
And I've played neither. How, in terms of like kind of retellings of the Underworld, or I guess this is a question for like all 3 of you, really.
right.
Not in so much like how well do you think it portrayed the Underworld, but like in its retelling, what do you feel like these games were trying to portray or trying to say about the Underworld?
Now, in Odyssey, I've only ever.
All right, you didn't do that part in Odyssey, so this is Casey.
I only did Elysium,
Mhm.
and I think they portrayed Elysium pretty well.
Mhm.
I think it's like a gorgeous meadow, fields, cliffs as high, and like cities and on top of the cliffs, and everyone's like super happy except not really, because apparently there's a coup happening trying to overthrow Persephone in Elysium.
Is Persephone a bad leader?
As far as I was aware, she seemed pretty cool. Yeah, there's a coup trying to happen, and you can either choose to side with it or stop it.
Oh.
I didn't get that far in it, but like it looked gorgeous and it felt really cool to explore. But I do think Hades did it way fucking better.
Clearly, yeah.
Hades, those people did their research. Shout out to Supergiant Games. They like fucking stellar on that game. They did their research. And again, just like I can't get over the dialogue.
Yeah,
not
the
repeating dialogue is an incredible fucking thing that you just don't see nowadays. Like it's so awesome that you can just and every character that has dialogue, completely fleshed out characters, right? All of them, like Sisyphus. Fuck, do you remember who the guy was that you run into in Elysium? That's like the Sisyphus and the.
I don't. Wait, hold on. I have it pulled up. So hold on. I'm not going to know if I'm going to say this right. Patroclus? Patroclus?
Patroclus.
Patroclus.
Right.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and they all and Eurydice, that's her name.
Yeah.
And Eurydice shows up too, and she's like my favorite to play. Like if I come across you, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, she's
in
great.
That game you get boons, which are and again also the gods, completely fleshed out characters too. All have and they all interact with each other every now and again because you can get first off, boons are like upgrades you get to your abilities, your dash, your attacks, like anything like that. And depending on the god, it's got different upgrade types. If you go Dionysus, which is my favorite, and also Ares, because on hits either apply Hangover, which is a like dot damage over time.
Yep.
Or Ares, and he's got Doom, which is like after a hit, it just fucking another big old hit that like hurts them really good. And sometimes you can get duo boons where it's like, oh, Artemis, fuck yeah. And like you start, it's like Artemis shows up, it was like, hey, what's good? Like cousin, because son of Hades. Cousin, like it was like, oh, so he's and then like fucking Poseidon inserts himself. It's like, hey, so you're trying to like we doing this together? And they're like, fuck, I guess. And so you get a duo boon that like has like effect of like both the types, that's got like cool. Increased knockback and crit chance.
Yeah, okay,
it's cool. Awesome. I fucking love it. And then you can obviously give the gods gifts, and like the first time that you give people gifts, you get an item from them, which with gods it increases the boon rarity, which is like obviously the effect chance. And then like if you can give a gift to Cerberus, and he gives you a collar that ups your health. It's great. I love it so much.
Cerberus is amazing. You can pet him.
So Hades is better than Assassin's Creed in every fucking way, starting with the fact that you can pet Cerberus.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's great. It's so fucking good. Like, I do think Hades just like, and the people behind it did such a wonderful job on that game. And they just like, I'm excited to see where Hades goes and where they go. I know they've worked on previous games. It's not their debut game, but it's still such a fucking wonderful game.
So that's what I found really interesting about this is that Hades is like so celebrated. And one, it sounds just like it's a stupid fun game.
100%.
Like rad fun, cool.
First off, I just
cool
love
stuff.
roguelike games. They're like my favorite games to play. Like,
what does that mean?
So a roguelike game is a game where you go like you start off. Well, I guess it's called roguelite because a roguelike itself is. The reason it's called that is because there's a game, I guess, called Rogue. Way back when. I don't even fucking know when this game first
it's like
came
when
out.
You call a game of Metroidvania.
Yes.
Okay.
And this game, you go through, at the very start, you go through, and when you die, that's the end of that run, and you have to start over from the beginning. There is no saving. There is nothing like that. And roguelikes have no progression whatsoever, and it's literally just that, right? From one end to the next. Roguelites are the same thing, except you unlock items, you unlock characters, you unlock separate things.
So
and
the runs build on themselves. Even when
the runs will build on themselves and become easier over time.
Okay.
And so this one's a roguelite, and that's pretty much it. And the way this game plays is every room is a challenge, and you fight through, and up until the Hades, you kill him, and you go on. And even if you kill him, you got to go back. It sucks. But that's the whole thing, and I just love that genre of games. And especially like I don't get enough of these. I want more 3D roguelikes. And like even though Hades is wonderful, I love that isometric viewpoint. That's fucking great. But if I could get Hades, but like Risk of Rain 2 style, that would be pretty fucking cool too. I'd love that shit. But, and then Hades just does a wonderful job at being a roguelike. Like, it's so fucking fun. I can't think of a better game. I like Risk of Rain 2 more than Hades, but they're both just stellar games.
Nice.
And if a roguelike is done properly, it'll be like, I'll play it for fucking hours.
Yeah, that does sound really cool. I think it's really cool that this game had so much like love and effort put into it and is so popular and well liked in this game that's set in the Underworld, where the premise of the game is you, the character, want to escape this place so badly, but you, the player, really like to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a very stark contrast to what Assassin's Creed Odyssey did, where it's like, not only is this the place where you, the character, want to be because it's supposed to like further your goals and to do some sort of like Atlantean spirit nonsense, but you, the player, spent more money to get back in the game. And yet it does not sound like they put the same effort into making that a world you want it to be, which, to be fair, no one really wants to be in the Underworld.
Yeah.
So, Casey, what do you think about what kind of world what kind of underworld you were being presented in Assassin's Creed? Like, what were they going for, you think? Not so much as in, like, accuracy, but, like, message.
I mean, part of me feels like their approach was just obligatory.
Ooh.
Like, we have to, like, go there to, as part of the progression of the story. Because, like, visiting Hades, I mean, I still had a lot of fun, but when you compare it to being in Elysium or then being in Atlantis, it's so much weaker. And because you know that there's more potential there, and it just kind of falls short of that potential, especially when you first enter Hades, and Hades is telling you, I want you to go fight these heroes, and it's like, that sounds so exciting. And then when you do it, it's just like, they're very generic battles. They don't really stand out as any different than any of the other battles within the entire game. They're just there. And so a lot of being in this part of the Underworld, it just feels like you're getting from point A to point B so that you can finally get to point C as you are basically powering up your staff and kind of getting through that story. And it's just like, well, they wanted to go to Elysium, so if we're going to go to Elysium, well, we're going to have to go to Hades, and then they end up in Atlantis, which is not really related to either, but it's there. So, yeah, in many respects, it just feels like it's going through the motions.
It's like a task rather than an experience.
Yeah. I mean, and that really, I mean, it's not surprising given the entirety of Odyssey itself. It's like a lot of the side quests are just tasks. You're just doing chores, and so if outside of the main game and some of the other side missions, but yeah, it just it's more of the same set with a different setting, and they don't use the setting to the fullest. So at the end of it, you're just kind of, the game, or that portion of the game in Hades, you ends basically with a boss battle with Hades, and then you're kind of like, finally, I can get to the next part.
Weird. Okay. I think another, because I'm just going to draw comparisons back and forth. That's what my brain works. It's interesting because for Assassin's Creed, it feels like, the Underworld was, like you said, Casey, like the obligation. It was a task. You had to get through it in order to get to the next thing. But in context, the Underworld is the last thing. It's the last thing you ever will experience because it's the end of all the things.
I don't even think it was the last DLC either. I think they released one after that.
It wasn't even the last DLC.
Yeah, no. Yeah, though that's how it progresses. You start in Elysium, and then the game, it sends you to Hades, and then once you have completed Hades, you go to Atlantis.
And then after that, I think even after that whole chapter, there's another one that I saw that I think there's a whole 3 chapters of I think it's called the Fate of Atlantis chapters, and then there's another DLC season itself that's even more quests, but this one takes place in just the standard ancient Greece map.
And
I think that's just it's such a stark contrast to the way Hades, the game, presents Hades, in that you're trying to get out, but the inevitability is like this is where you are. And I don't know how the game ends, and Lucy doesn't know either, so we're not going to talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
But it's like this is like when you die, Zagreus, that's not the end. You get to stay in Hades because that's the fucking game, dude. Like this is where you're at. It's a roguelite. You're still here. Let's go again. And I think that's I think with games like you're just describing, where it's like you die and you're still there. Like, wow, isn't the Underworld a great place to do that? Because that's where you go when you die. So if you're already there, like
when you die, Zagreus walks out the River of Styx into the lobby of Hades' fucking council room.
Yep.
It's pretty great. And Hypnos is just standing there like, oh,
back again.
Back again, are you?
Yep.
So, like, Lucy, what do you feel like Hades the game was saying about the Underworld and like what it is?
I think that I agree that like just the game just did a fantastic job like representing the Underworld, I think, and it had a lot of those characters that like made you even like I think any player who kind of knows Greek mythology is like, oh, I know that, or oh, I know that. It just has these like little like acknowledging, and that just makes you feel good, like you're like, oh, I get this, or something like that. But I think the whole concept where Zagreus, like up until he found out that his mother wasn't Nyx, and he's like, I need to go find my mother because Hades like refuses to talk about Persephone for some reason. I have yet to find out.
Yeah. Is that it?
And
it was like, that seems obvious, but okay.
Yeah, like does not at all. And
like fucking refuses to talk to anyone about it. He's like, why don't you just tell me about Persephone? He's like, I don't want to, fucker.
Yeah, he's like, tell me about her. And he's just like, nah.
We really need the god of canceling up in there.
Yeah, and I think it was finally like I'm. It's been a while since I last played, but I think it was Nyx that finally told Zagreus that she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not your mom, but I will help you find her or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I just think it's an interesting concept because like Zagreus was completely fine being in the Underworld. He was totally fine, and then he's like, wait, my mother's on the surface. She's in like the mortal Olympian. I'm gonna go find her, and then his whole goal is just to like escape this place that he's lived his whole life to get out. And it's like that's one of the interesting things is like when he dies, he doesn't turn into a spirit, he comes back as himself. And it's like, because I'm like, one, he's a god of death, he can't die, he's the god of Hades, he can't really die necessarily.
He's the prince of the Underworld, so he's always tied to the Underworld.
Yeah, and he's in the Underworld as well. And I just remember this is like he actually doesn't bleed. I don't know if this is in like or irrelevant, but like
he doesn't bleed.
Megara calls him red blood because he bleeds red. He doesn't bleed as everyone else does or whatever. But I just think
he doesn't bleed ichor.
Yeah, I just think it's a really, really interesting concept. And then like one of the interesting things is like you actually like Hades and Cerberus is not Hades, Zagreus and Cerberus are actually like it's basically like a boy and his pet, like that's the relationship there. And when you finally get to the top where Cerberus is, Zagreus is like, we're not gonna fight. And so the whole part of like the last roll is you're just getting his favorite treat, and then you give
I think it's like goat
Cerberus his favorite treat, and then he goes off and eats it, and then you walk outside. And so
I can't even. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's really good.
Because here, I knew the premise of the game was like, you're playing the son of Hades and he wants to get out of the Underworld. And I was just like, okay, so the Underworld sucks and he wants to escape. I didn't know that he was happy there, that he clearly had like friends and relationships there, that was his home and he's leaving for this other reason.
I think he only had 2 friends. I don't think anyone really liked him there.
Okay, well, regardless. I assumed it was like, I have to escape hell, except that's not what Hades
Thanatos,
is.
Hypnos, and Achilles were all like, whatever. Like, Hades really just like didn't give him any special treatment whatsoever.
Yeah.
We see flashbacks
that sounds like Hades.
of like Zagreus running late for his job and Hades being like, you're late. What the fuck, man? And like punishing him for it.
Okay, but you've met our dad.
Yeah, I know. Like that's what I'm saying. He's just our father. He's just our father.
He's just our dad. Yeah. So no,
there is no nepotism whatsoever in that family.
Yeah,
I love that because that's exactly like what Casey said at the top of how like we have this idea of like Hades and the Underworld is like terrible and awful and like just malicious and like that's not what it is at all. And it sounds like Hades the game really captured that, because again, I didn't know he was leaving just to find his mom. I thought he was trying to escape because he's like, I fucking hate it here. Like that's so
he's trying to figure out
good. That's so interesting.
He didn't know it was Persephone for the longest, even like at the start of the game.
Yeah, I don't even.
But he just knew Nyx wasn't his mom, and his mom was on the surface.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's like one of the most interesting parts is like, so as you're going through, it was mentioned earlier with like you meet like different Olympians, like you meet Dionysus, you meet Zeus, you meet Artemis, you meet Poseidon, you meet all these different, gods, Olympians, and like they give you their boons to help you out. But one of the things that I was playing through, like me knowing Greek mythology a little bit, I was like, where is Demeter? I'm like, where is she? Like, she is not showing up at all. She only shows up when you go get your ass kicked by Hades and he sends you back. And then I think for me, she was the first boon I got. It was Demeter. And Zagreus is like, I do not know who this is. And so he summons her and she gives you a boon. But he doesn't know, like, that's his grandmother. Like, he has no idea that, like, that's how close they are related. It's just, like, for me, it was like, it was so cool.
Like, the reason she, like, as Lucy said, yeah, you've, like, the first time you ever get Demeter is after you get your ass handed to you by Hades.
100%.
Like, that motherfucker destroys you. Like, at least he destroyed me the first time. I don't think there's probably some people out there who's like, oh, I kicked his ass. Like, shut up. But yeah, once you do that, like, normally when you start, you would get, like, a boon or a hammer of Daedalus or something, But, like, the first one that you get that shows up is this snowflake white one. You're like, what the fuck? What is this? And then it's like, Demeter's like, yeah, I saw that you came into my realm. Because, like, when you go up to fight Hades, it's fucking winter.
Oh.
I was like, you came up into my realm. I will help you get out of that place. And all of her stuff revolved around like ice, freezing, and it's really fucking strong.
Yeah,
and slowing your enemies. It's sick as stuff.
What happened to Persephone? Wait, no. It shouldn't be winter if she's not the. What the
fuck? I cannot say.
Yeah.
I cannot say because Lucy has not seen it.
I haven't.
She actually kind of cares.
Okay.
And
okay, I gotta pull it back. No more talking about Hades. We gotta pull it back because I'm so interested. We're gonna wrap it up so I can get on Davis's Switch and play Hades.
I don't have it on my Switch.
What the fuck?
I have it on my PC. Come on.
Like, I have it on my Switch too. You can play.
Lucy! Okay, I gotta go home and play it on my Switch.
Fucking good luck getting there, man. It took me like 10, 20 tries to beat Hades.
Are you kidding? Okay. We gotta talk.
I mean, I'm not good at games.
Okay. We gotta bring it back because I'm like, oh no. Why do you guys think that we want to play games set in death?
Because it's fun. It's an interesting concept, and we can't actually really know what's after it. Mm-hmm. So it's fun to fantasize and see what their ideas and such like that.
Casey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, fun to see concepts kind of brought into reality. Because, I mean, as much as I kind of bag on the Underworld and Hades in Assassin's Creed, it's still interesting to be there and kind of explore, even if it doesn't meet my expectations. Mm-hmm. I was just really, interested to see what they came up with. And I think, I've really enjoyed just kind of playing inside mythology, so to speak.
Nice. Lucy, what do you think?
I think, kind of going along with what Casey says, I think it's also like, people who have heard these stories before, it's fascinating to hear them in a different light. Like, it's just so fascinating to see it from a different angle being told in another way, but you see these characters and you kind of understand the things like that. So I think that's kind of really what draws us in, is like, I also think that Greek mythology is one of the most and this could be me like going out on a limb, but like I feel like Greek mythology is one of the more well-known mythologies in the world, because I know there's so many, like there's Norse and Egyptian and like all these other things, but I always feel like there's just that pull towards Greek because that's what we read in school. Like that is just something we all kind of know, at least like very baseline. And so I think that's kind of what keeps pulling us back to like Greek mythology specifically, is because it's like that. Like we just, it's all, and you can go like way down the base. It's familiar, so that's what we go to.
Yeah,
but I just think it's just fascinating. It's just absolutely fascinating. Like and like I said, like just seeing it told in a different way. It's just it's just also really fascinating.
Well, before we wrap it up, did y'all have any other thoughts on the games we talked about? Any other incarnations of the Underworld that we could just do honorable mentions of, if you wanted to do that?
I got an honorable mention. I didn't think about it when you said, oh, why do we play games that take place in death? There's this game that came out recently that I've been really, again, this is another game I've been looking to play. It's called Afterparty.
Okay.
Now, the premise of this game is you're two college students, like, really fucking close to graduation, right? And you die. I don't remember how, because I haven't seen it, but I know it was the mistake of one person that dragged their best friend into it.
Yeah, that tracks.
And so they died. And they're like, man, we got to get the hell out of this place. We got to find a way. And so they go and talk to Satan. This is like, hell. Not the underworld that we've been talking about.
This is Christian hell.
Yeah, this is Christian hell. Cool. They go talk to Satan. It's like, hey, man, is there any way we can get out of this place? And Satan proposes the idea, if you outdrink my 4 generals, you will get to the chance to outdrink me. And if you outdrink me, I will let you out of here. And so you have to go
fiddle contest, but that went poorly one time.
So now you gotta go out party and out drink his 4 hell's generals. And you outdrink Satan's live. I haven't played it yet, but I really want to. The art style also looks really fucking cool. The art style is really dope. I love it so much.
Case, Luce, you got anything else you wanted to bring to the table?
I mean, for me, it's like there's a lot of concepts with death and stuff like that. Like Murdered is one that's actually pretty interesting. I don't think it was very popular, but I thought that was a pretty interesting one.
You mean a game called Murder? Okay.
Huh?
Oh, you mean a game called Murder? Okay.
Yeah, it's a game called Murdered, and it's basically like you're a detective that is murdered, and from the grave you try to solve who murdered you. Basically,
nice.
It's very interesting.
Okay.
That's cool as fuck.
Nice.
And then there's also like one game that's more like, I don't know necessarily about like death or anything, but it's one that just kind of pops in my head just with like shadow stuff. I don't really know. Origami, which is like fascinating. You're basically like this spirit that you just go around. It's basically like Thief, but like worse, because the people you're trying to sneak around can one-shot you with like swords of light. It's a whole thing, but like it's just really, that one's really interesting and just like has this a lot of like kind of like mystery around it, which I thought was very fascinating. So
nice. Thank you so much, both of you, for making time to hang out and talk to us about video games and the Underworld. It's not usually a fun topic to discuss death, but I think we made it super fun for everybody. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Lucy, Casey, do you have anything you would like to plug to our lovely audience?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing either. I can't think of anything.
All right.
Well, thank you again, Casey and Lucy, for joining us. Thank you, our wonderful audience, for hanging out with us again. We love to have you. Do you want to agree with me?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you guys so much for actually joining us. It really was a lot of fun to talk about these 2 games, even though I didn't really get anybody to talk about the ending with Hades. But
I'll play it and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, but you won't beat it fast enough. Lucy will probably beat it before you do.
Maybe.
I don't understand why you're suddenly on a timeline to talk about this game, but okay.
I've been like wanting to talk about it with someone. I got nobody that plays this game.
We'll go get on it. It's fine.
None of my friends play this game.
I can play it now.
Yeah,
all right. So if y'all liked hearing us talk about video games and other such nonsense that is tangentially related to Greek mythology, you'll love to hang out with us at Secret Cabin. It is our Patreon exclusive feed. You get bonus episodes every alternating week. So you don't have a new episode of main podcast, you'll have a bonus episode waiting for you so you can still hear our wonderful voices.
Yes. And honestly, I as much as I do like doing this one, I do like doing Secret Cabin a little more than our standard podcast. It's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it, mainly because we just kind of go off on tangents a lot more than we do in here, which I know we do go off on tangents a lot.
You know I had the shit out of those tangents.
Yeah.
And so if you'd like to do it, those episodes are open to Patreon supporters who are at the $5 tier and above. If you also just want to hear those tangents that I edit out, you can just throw us $1 a month and it gets you the blooper reel and outtakes.
Blooper reel.
And all that is available at patreon.com/podcast of Poseidon. That's Poseidon, Poseidon.
Yeah, awesome. It's not I before ye. That shit is stupid.
Awesome. And well, Lucy, Casey, thank you again for hanging out with us while I sat and plugged our Patreon. Wonderful. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, Don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created, produced, and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt.
Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain. Our cover art is by Audrey Miller. Find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Coming out with us on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast of Poseidon. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.